One of the things that we're proposing is to really get away from the power ratings and eliminate them. And it's twofold. One, we believe the power ratings were very effective, continue to be effective, but with just the number of schools and where we are now, we're almost 200 schools, we believe if every league gets 3 teams in the playoffs, Steve, that everybody knows ahead of the season if they have a chance of qualifying or not. You know, we made some compromises last year, and one of the things that was we added a proposal that 15 team wins could get in. Well, that created more problems for us than it was worth. Some teams had 15 wins that weren't in the top 3. Other teams didn't get to go. So it would be 3, and if the other little caveat to that is if your league has 9, the 9 best leagues for the playoffs would get an extra spot. So it'll be 9 leagues will get 4, everybody else will get 3. We'll do out-bracket games, we'll seed it, put them in the right divisions, and go play. If you're 4-0 every year in the playoffs, that's going to add to the, because we're going to evaluate how your league did in the playoffs. Well, you know, we do the last 3 years. So you put a St. Mary's girls, they're 12-0 before they even start. They're going to continue to be one of those 9 leagues. What's really happened with the transfer rule is 4 years ago, or 5 years ago now, 2008, we changed our rule. It really went to what our section was doing. We went statewide. And that was a pretty much hardship rule. You had to meet certain criteria or you got denied. Well, that started creating problems for us through litigation. Cost to go to court became expensive. And we won clearly more than we lost, but I don't think we need to spend that kind of money. And I think my colleagues, fellow commissioners, felt the same way. So 2 years ago, we adopted a new rule. And it was actually a caveat of a rule we had about 5 years ago, which was the sit-out period. So we instituted that last year. This year it's now in full force. So in essence, if a student changes schools, not a valid change of address, but you change schools, go from school A to school B, family doesn't make a complete move, the first time you do that, you have a sit-out period for each sport at the varsity level. The new part of that rule, which is going to be an eye-opener to some people, is if you make a second transfer, you are ineligible for 1 year. And there are no hardships. Excuse me, there are no hearings. The only hardship is divorce, court order, or individual school safety at a school that's documented. Other than that, you'll be ineligible for 1 year. So where some people have thought this rule is a little more liberal, it may help them on the front end, but after that first transfer, they're going to have to sit. So I think people are going to have to be very careful if they make the decision to change schools. The family you're living with in this house, sell it, you move out, you buy a house over there, everybody moves in. That's a valid change of address. In general, the media calls it a transfer. We don't. A transfer for us is when a student changes schools and the family has not moved. In the first 2 classes, we had to go back into the 40s and the 50s and the 30s, some cases I think in the 20s, and catch some of those people. Now with this class, we're getting a little, there'll still be some people from the 50s and 60s that will get in. It'll be a little bit different. We're not going to be quite as big. We're going to start cutting back a little bit. You know, we were inducting 45, 50 people. That's a huge amount of work for this staff. So I think you may see a class of 25 or 30, less coaches. We can start getting down to the nitty-gritty. And remember, those people inducted are selected by an outside committee. So their hands are full. Will's hands full putting that list together.